High school violence in America, lessons from the Karmelo Anthony case. It started with a sound no one expected, not the roar of a crowd, not the blast of a starting gun, but the kind of silence that follows chaos. The Frisco High track field, once a place of laughter, sweat, and teenage pride, was now cordoned off by yellow tape. The metal bleachers were empty, yet echoes of screams still seemed to hang in the damp evening air. Beneath the flickering floodlights, a lone shoe lay in the gravel, small, black, scuffed from the sprint that ended too soon. Investigators moved like shadows, their radios whispering static. Parents stood behind the barriers, clutching each other, eyes wide with disbelief. For many, this was supposed to be another Friday night. Just kids running laps, chasing medals, and waiting for the weekend. But for the Anthony family, it became the night that would define their lives forever. Karmelo Anthony wasn't a troublemaker. At least, that's what every teacher and classmate said when the questions began. He was fast, the kind of runner who didn't just race to win, but to escape. Teammates said he trained harder than anyone, often running alone after dusk, long after the coaches had left. To his friends, he was quiet, polite, maybe too quiet. To his mother, he was her world. What happened that evening at the track meet began like nothing at all. A drizzle had just started, the kind that dampens everything but doesn't send people running. Coaches called out times, students huddled beneath umbrellas. A small disagreement had broken out near the edge of the field, words exchanged between two athletes from different schools. No one paid attention. High school rivalries come and go. But as the argument escalated, voices sharpened, and something deeper cracked beneath the surface. Witnesses say the two boys stepped closer. Then there was a shove. One stumbled. Another grabbed for balance, and then chaos. People screamed. Someone called for help. The sound of the crowd shifted from cheer to panic in seconds. By the time security reached the field, the rain had turned heavier, washing away small details no one thought to record. By the time police arrived, the field was nearly deserted except for a few scattered items: a phone, a track jacket, and blood in the mud. Karmelo was nowhere to be seen. Detective Laura Denning, a veteran of the Frisco Police Department, arrived minutes later. She had worked dozens of juvenile cases before, but this one felt different. Something about the way everyone hesitated to speak, the conflicting stories, it all smelled of a cover-up. "These kids know something," she muttered, looking across the field, "and they're terrified to say it." The first hours were chaos. One student said Karmelo ran into the woods after the altercation. Another claimed he saw someone in a red hoodie follow him. Yet when police reviewed the initial footage from nearby school cameras, something was off. A section of the recording was missing. The timestamp jumped. 3 whole minutes erased. By dawn, the story had already begun spreading online. Track star missing after incident. Frisco police investigate disappearance. High school violence out of control. Comment sections filled with speculation, theories, and outrage. Parents demanded answers. The principal promised cooperation. The city tried to calm the storm. But Laura Denning knew something the public didn't. When they found Karmelo's backpack near the drainage tunnel behind the stadium, there was a note inside, damp, smeared, but still legible. "I didn't mean for it to happen." The question that gripped the investigation wasn't just what had happened, but why. There was no weapon found, no clear motive, and no body. Just fear, confusion, and a growing sense that this wasn't an isolated incident. It was the symptom of something larger, something festering in American schools long before this night. Over the next few days, Detective Denning pieced together fragments from security feeds, witness interviews, and social media posts. A pattern began to emerge, one that painted a haunting picture of high school rivalry pushed too far. There were reports of bullying between schools, online taunts, and challenges shared on private group chats. Karmelo had been tagged in one of them just hours before the event. But when Denning approached the school's IT department to retrieve the full chat logs, she discovered that several accounts had been deleted overnight, all from students who attended the meet. Someone was covering their tracks. As the days passed, the investigation grew murkier. Teachers refused to speak on record. Parents of key witnesses suddenly stopped returning calls. And then came the first real break, a dashcam video from a parent who had been parked near the field, waiting for his son. It showed a blur of figures running through the rain, one falling, one turning back, then disappearing into the tree line. Forensics enhanced the footage, frame by frame. At 22 seconds in, a shadow passed by the camera, too large to be a student, wearing something that looked like a varsity jacket, but not from either school. That discovery changed everything. This wasn't just a fight. Someone else had been there, someone no one wanted to mention. Detective Denning replayed the footage over and over, each time catching a different detail: the reflection of lights on wet asphalt, a faint shout muffled by thunder, a second figure in the background. She leaned closer to the screen, heart pounding. Then she froze. In the corner of the frame, a license plate, partially obscured, but clear enough to trace. And when she ran it through the system, it came back registered to a school security contractor who wasn't scheduled to work that night. That's when she knew this wasn't just a case of teenage rivalry. It was something far darker. Something that reached beyond the students and deep into the adults who were supposed to protect them. Rain returned to Frisco 3 nights later, washing over the high school campus like a reminder that nothing stays buried for long. Detective Laura Denning stood by her car, watching the empty track field glisten under the streetlights. Reporters had left. Parents stayed home. But the silence still hummed with unanswered questions. Somewhere in that storm, the truth was still breathing, and she was about to drag it out. The license plate hit had changed everything. It belonged to David Harlan, a private security contractor who'd been hired occasionally by the school district for athletic events. But Harlan wasn't scheduled that night. According to his supervisor, he had taken the night off due to illness. Yet his truck had been parked less than 100 yards from the track field during the exact window of the incident. Denning knocked on his door the next morning. Harlan answered in a wrinkled t-shirt, eyes bloodshot, face pale. His hands trembled slightly, not enough for most people to notice, but Denning wasn't most people. She'd spent years reading suspects like open books. "Detective," he said, voice thin. "You've got questions. I've already told the school I wasn't there." Denning tilted her head. "You sure about that? Because your vehicle says otherwise." The air between them tightened. He swallowed. "I was just passing through. Thought I saw kids hanging around the lot. Didn't want trouble." She nodded slowly, watching every micro-expression. "And did you find trouble, Mr. Harlan?" His silence was answer enough. Back at headquarters, Denning dug into his records. Something didn't add up. Harlan's background check was clean, but his employment file was incomplete, a gap in his work history that no one could explain. 2 years missing. No tax records, no contracts, nothing. Just a blank space between 2019 and 2021. When she called the district office, the HR director hesitated. "Detective, this is going to sound strange, but we've had multiple requests from outside agencies asking about Harlan before. Law enforcement. Federal level. We thought it was just a clerical mix-up." Denning's stomach tightened. She'd seen this pattern before, when an ordinary case hid an extraordinary secret. She pulled the thread harder, and what she found next made her stop cold. During that 2-year gap, Harlan had worked security at a juvenile detention facility, one that had been shut down after reports of excessive force and disciplinary incidents involving minors. It was the kind of history that got buried when a case threatened powerful people. Now, that same man was linked to a missing student. The question was, why? Meanwhile, the Anthony family lived in a daze of grief and confusion. Karmelo's mother, Denise, hadn't slept in days. She sat by her window each night, watching police cars crawl by, waiting for news that never came. Neighbors brought food, candles, and sympathy. None of it mattered. Her son's room was still untouched, bed made, track shoes neatly placed by the door, medals hanging like ghosts on the wall. Denning visited her on the 4th day. The moment she walked in, she noticed a photo on the wall, Karmelo and his coach, both smiling, holding a trophy. "That's Coach Peters," Denise said softly. "He believed in my boy. Said he had the discipline to go pro." Coach Peters. The same name that had appeared in multiple police reports Denning reviewed. He'd been one of the last to see Karmelo before he vanished. And according to several parents, he'd been acting nervous ever since. When Denning tracked him down, he was locking up the gym. "Detective, I've already told everyone what I know," he said, voice shaking. "That night was chaos. I didn't even realize Karmelo was gone until later." "Then why didn't you report it?" she asked sharply. He froze. "Because I was told not to." Denning stepped closer. "By who?" He hesitated, eyes darting toward the office window. "The district superintendent. They said not to make it public yet. Said it would hurt the school's reputation." That was the moment Denning realized she wasn't chasing a single act of violence. She was chasing a system of silence. The kind that turns tragedy into public relations strategy. The kind that buries the truth under bureaucracy. She got a warrant for Harlan's vehicle that same night. Forensics found traces of synthetic turf fibers matching the track field, and a smudge of blood on the floor mat. Too little to identify, but enough to confirm suspicion. Then came a chilling twist. When analysts examined the deleted security footage from the school's server, they discovered it hadn't been erased at all. It had been transferred to an external drive. That drive was signed out under Harlan's name. Denning didn't wait for permission. She drove straight to his house with a search team. They found the drive hidden behind a wall vent. The video, once recovered, was grainy, rain-distorted, but unmistakable. It showed Karmelo near the track edge, arguing with another student. A shove. To fall. The other student backed away. Then, from the corner of the frame, Harlan appeared. He grabbed Karmelo by the arm, leading him toward the parking lot. Karmelo resisted, pulling back. The last visible frame before the screen cut to static showed the boy's terrified face, and Harlan's hand on his shoulder. When Denning replayed the footage in the dark of the precinct room, the weight of it hit her like a brick. This wasn't negligence. This wasn't bad luck. It was control, someone orchestrating silence to protect something bigger. But what? The press got wind of the footage's existence before the department could contain it. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed it showed a kidnapping. Others said it was a cover-up involving multiple schools. The city's reputation hung by a thread. Parents pulled their kids from events. Teachers refused to comment. The district held emergency meetings behind closed doors. Harlan was brought in for questioning again, this time not as a witness, but as a suspect. Under harsh light, his calm facade began to crack. Denning leaned across the table, voice low but firm. "What did you do with him?" He clenched his fists. "You don't understand. I was told to handle it quietly. I didn't hurt him. I just followed orders." "Whose orders?" He hesitated. The pause stretched into something unbearable. Then he whispered, "It wasn't supposed to go this far." Denning's blood ran cold. What wasn't supposed to? He looked up, eyes hollow. "The program. The transfers. They said it was about safety." "Safety?" Denning repeated. "For who?" He didn't answer. Hours later, as the storm raged outside, a call came into the precinct. A jogger had found a vehicle submerged near a wooded creek just 2 miles from the school. It was Harlan's truck, and inside the passenger seat was a school ID card belonging to Karmelo Anthony. The rain had finally stopped, but Frisco still felt drenched in something heavier than water, guilt. By sunrise, the creekside scene was crawling with officers, news crews, and silence. Detective Laura Denning watched as the tow truck pulled Harlan's vehicle out of the water. The mud clung to its sides like the case clung to her conscience. Inside, everything was still, except for one small item wedged between the seat and the console. A flash drive. No one spoke as she pocketed it. No one had to. Back at the precinct, Denning plugged it into her laptop. The screen flickered, loading a folder titled Student Safety Initiative, Private. Inside were dozens of encrypted files, each labeled by school and date. She clicked on one. A spreadsheet appeared, hundreds of names, each followed by strange codes and brief notes. De-escalation candidate, transfer recommended, behavioral risk. And next to one name, her stomach sank. Anthony, Karmelo, flagged Tier 2. Monitor closely. She scrolled further. More names. More notes. Some had been crossed out. Some marked as closed. and in the far right column, a handful of initials appeared again and again. David Harlan. That's when she understood. This wasn't a program to protect students. It was one to remove them, quietly. Later that morning, Denning sat across from Superintendent Dale Rowe in a wood-paneled office that smelled faintly of bleach and panic. He wore a calm smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Detective," he said evenly, "before you start throwing accusations, you should know this district has been part of a state-level initiative for years. Behavior prevention, conflict management. We work with contractors, not criminals." Denning leaned forward, voice cutting through the air like glass. "Your contractor abducted a 17-year-old boy. His blood is in that truck. Your initiative is an off-the-books experiment that treats children like case files." Rowe's jaw tightened. "Watch your words, detective. You're not cleared for this information." She stood. "Then clear me." Before she left, she noticed something on his desk, a thick blue binder with the same title she'd seen on Harlan's drive, Student Safety Initiative. Her badge gave her the right to walk away with it, but Rowe's eyes warned her not to. She did anyway. If you love true crime, real-life investigations, and documentary storytelling, subscribe now. New stories drop every day.